Week 9 of the metal testing. Still got 4 different colors here, guys, and we're going to go into. We'll start with the lead. We're starting to see some green in this lead, some green algae. But it's still mostly brown.
What's the brown all about?
I don't know. I don't know if we got to get a marine biologist before this is all over in here and explain everything.
I have a friend.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh,
I got friends.
I didn't know you had friends.
Yeah, I got friends.
Wow. You heard it first here, guys. Devin's got friends. Anyway, this is the lead. Looks brand new still. It looks like I could put it back on the shelf for sale. Here's a galvanized hook.
Yeah, starting to get some rust and some decay on that finally.
Yeah, it's starting to get pretty gnarly there. The tip looks like it's pretty much eaten off.
But just the tip though. Just
the tip. We got the aluminum here.
Starting to get some pitting and algae growth on it.
Well, the algae's already been on there and starting to get there's some oxidation into it, but it is not deteriorating like I thought it would.
It's a high quality grade of aluminum.
That's true too. And here's your stainless steel.
Looking brand new.
Get that on the tip there. Let's see.
The tip's starting to break down a little bit.
No, it looks pretty close. That looks like you can just take a rag, wipe that green off, and it'll looks like it'll be brand new too. So that stainless doesn't look like much. It's almost like the lead. But the interesting thing is, like I said, this is green. This is brown.
Almost still, like you can still see through it though. The water
This
clarity.
is not. This green is a little different color than all the. And this, of course, the galvanized. Wow. I mean, that's. You put a snail in there and probably take a couple weeks to clean that one out. But anyway, it's week 9, guys. Come back here in week 10 and we'll see what happens. We're going to get a marine biologist to explain all these colors in this water here. We got to get that involved. So, well, we heard that, Devin, but let's just say it's an associate at this point. We don't want to say it's a friend because until she says I'm Devin's friend, I'm not going to believe it.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you next week. This week's Next Generation Fishing Report, guys. We got the firefighters this past weekend. Did you get to read the reports?
I did. You got some nice tails hung. It was the winners were reel them in too. They do fish with our rods here.
There was a wahoo that was caught.
There was a wahoo that was caught.
But they weren't in the Calcuttas. But anyway.
The kingfish was a 54.2 pound kingfish. Nice size fish.
And usually, it's usually, you know, it's strange because usually the firefighters produces about a 60 almost every year.
Almost a 60 every year, and it's known to hang for our circuit here the biggest fish of the year usually. So.
Yeah, usually. So that's not exactly impressive for overall measure.
No, and I mean our viewers here 54.2 pound fish, but these fish, they're one of the fastest growing fish in the ocean next to the dolphin. Within a year time, a year to 2 years time, these fish can get up to those weights with no problem.
And I know that there was a lot of dolphin caught too as well. Now remember, this every year it's the same thing. It gets really rough, and this year they had the same issue. So that being said,
I don't understand it. The whole week before, the week before that, during the week it was calm. Like that weekend,
and it's starting to get nice now this week. So it's and we're looking for a good weekend.
We are looking
We'll
for a good weekend.
talk about that a little bit, but the reality of it is, a lot of fish being caught. Blackfin are going to start to show up now. I think that's going to be a real hot fish here in the near future. The wahoo bite, man, it's been very consistent. There was wahoo caught there this weekend too. And usually this time of year we don't talk about wahoo, but I'm telling you what, this has got to be one of the best wahoo years so far that I've heard.
It's definitely last year was the grouper. This year the wahoo they've not been as hot as they were, but I mean people are still getting stripes out there.
Absolutely, they're out there and they're not necessarily, you know, one here, one there either. So
no, and they're not small dinks either. These are
there's some things being caught in the mix there, but yeah, for the most part,
respectable 20 to 30 pound fish.
And the way the moon face is going for this weekend, I think the wahoo bite is going to be that much better. So we'll see what happens. But
it's going to be a toss up with the hot fish this week.
I would say blackfin and wahoo and a kingfish. I mean, they're all going. It's a good mix.
It's going to be a mixed bag this week.
Now the bottom fishing I know has been really good too as well. The problem is you got those foul fish out there, you got the trigger fish out there. I'm going to give you a little trick that I like to do when it comes to bottom fishing. And what we do is, once you see the foul fish come up to the boat, and you're getting ready to drop your bait down, you don't want to do it because they're just going to follow your bait down and chew it all the way going down. So what I like to do is take a sardine. I know it sucks because you're using some of your bait, but it's either that or they take it. So I take the sardine and I toss it off out the boat, and you got to be careful because the birds will come and grab your sardine too, so you got to be careful with that. So you take the sardine, make sure the birds aren't around. As you're drifting off, throw that sardine in the water, okay? Wait a few minutes, let them all go to that sardine, then you have an opportunity to drop down and get past them before they can see it coming, and then they chase it back down. So it's a little trick that I've learned to do over the past years, and it's been effective for the most part. Sometimes there's too many of them, and at the end of the equation, it's not that great of an outcome. But the reality of it is, and usually, if you do, or if you're into those fish, don't be scared to pick up and move. Even if you just move for another 100 yards out of the way.
I thought that was your trick you were going to tell them, because that's what I like to do. Just pick up and move.
Yeah, I mean,
when they
but
get
then
bad.
It gets frustrating if you're doing that every 10, 15 minutes. So, but the reality is, if you know that you're on a spot, a good spot, and you know you're going to produce some snapper or whatever down there, stick sardine, like I said, before you drop your bait in the water. Throw that sardine or whatever you got laying around. It doesn't matter what it is, because they'll eat anything. You got an old ballyhoo or an old piece of live bait that you've had laying around, like a blue runner or a goggle eye, just throw it out there. Let them go. They'll swarm to that thing and they'll start nibbling on it, and then that's when you get that opportunity to drop it down. But
it's a good trick.
I don't like to tell anybody my tricks, but unfortunately this time I did.
Well, we won't ask you about bass fishing then, so
No,
keep that out of the equation.
We won't. I got my tournament coming tonight, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, the inshore report. Now, I know there's a lot of people fishing for these snooks. Now we've got all this rain that we've been having for the last few days here. The lock system is open, and a lot of people are hitting the spillway. So if you got a boat, or if you Lake Worth Spillway, if you got a boat, Boynton Spillway. But the snook bite is going to be in those channels where the water flow is pushing through.
So when people fish they see the water flow for the new fishermen that are out there, and they wonder, hey, how are these fish going to be held up in there and all that water is flowing at the snook? What they do is they sit down at the bottom in the undercurrent, so they're not fighting the current. They're sitting there doing their thing, and they're waiting for a fish to come out of those locks to eat, and then they'll move off and grab the fish. That's the way they do it. So a lot of people say, oh, rushing water, how am I going to catch a fish here? They're going to be laid up on the bottom, so you're going to want to, if you're targeting those snook, you're going to want to use a bottom lure, a flare hawk. Flare hawks work great in the spillway. That's what I choose to use. That's what I use in the spillway. Or I'll even use one of the spool tech lures, because those will drop down to the bottom.
Right, but it's tricky. I mean, this time of year you don't usually get this. Usually when the snooks, we get the water, the locks open, and the snook are there. It's usually when the snook season's closed. So this time of year, it's a little hard to be. You almost want to go there, try to figure these fish out, because sometimes they won't hit those flare hawks, and they'll only be hitting certain things.
Yeah.
And I've noticed this in the past, that a lot of people will go there with little tiny grubs, especially this time of year. They go out with little tiny grubs. In the spring, there are some certain worms that I don't know, spawn, I guess, if that's the right word.
Tom, the sluggers is a great bait. Never count out a slugger.
Depends on the what's going on coming through the spillway. Like if you got live shad coming through there, which you will at this time of year, you can always throw those sluggers. But there's also those grubs, those little tiny grubs that you could use at the spillway. And another, the white with a red tail is probably the hottest color. Sometimes a root beer works really good. And you just put it on a jig head, and you put your lead, roughly 2-3 feet away from the grub, and then you cast it up in the locks, let that bounce off the bottom. Just keep your line, no slack in your line, just keep it tight at all times, and you'll feel that thump.
So, don't even count out the like the paddle tails, like the DOA cowl, those colors?
It's similar,
everything,
yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was saying, but I just call it a grub, but just in case you're not familiar with the language.
No, Unbelievable.
Anyway.
I don't bass fish, but I do saltwater fishing and brackish water.
All right. Well, let's talk about the weather predictions when we get back. Weather predictions for this weekend, Devin. What's the weather looking like?
So it's looking like a good weekend to fish. It's southwest winds on Friday and Saturday, 2 to 4 foot seas. It's going to be when the wind comes out of the southwest. It's a really clean 2 to 4. Little ground swells. That's really all you get with 2 to 4s.
What's the chance of rain?
Zero. Yeah, it's going to be bright and sunny. Perfect weekend for when you're busy.
Kind of like what you catch when you go fishing, 0?
Only bass fishing, because I don't do that.
Well,
yeah, only bass fishing.
So what do you think is going to be caught this weekend? We already know it's going to be a great weekend.
I really think the kingfish are showing up. The kingfish bite's going to be really good. It's starting to build up. I think it's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to be kings, dolphin, and with the moon phase the way it is, I think wahoo's going to be a good shot at the wahoo.
I think the wahoo is going to be really good. You got that moon phase, like Devin said, and also the dolphin, of course. The month of April is the hottest month for the dolphin, usually on a yearly.
Don't count out the blackfin too.
The blackfin I think the blackfin are going to start showing up, especially with this rain that we've been having and the cooling down the water surface temperature, rather say. Because I know the blackfin been around, But when they cool off, the surface temperature cools down from this rain, the blackfin will start to surface, and you see them. You'll see them busting, and you might think they're bonita, but they're blackfin.
Even though or skipjack, but on that hand, even when the locks are open here, I don't think it's going to change the salinity enough to push these fish away. So it's
no,
not good.
Yet, not yet. We're going to give it a couple months, but these fish are still going to be here. I think the fishing is only going to get better for the next couple months. That's why we call it fishing season here in South Florida, because usually it starts from March through August and some of September, depending on the weather in September. But usually that's the fishing season, and it pretty much shuts off, and then everybody goes hunting, and they do the sailfish. You know, sailfish season. There's still a sailfish season, which is not during.
That's a season.
But like you, always catching sailfish.
You know, no. Well, at least I don't catch sharks. At least I don't catch sharks.
And the shark population, guys, is not getting any better.
I mean, how many years are we going to go through this with it getting worse and worse?
It is getting worse and worse, and we're going to have to do something down the road. But anyway, we can't talk about it. It frustrates me.
Let's talk about tips and tricks. So on stuff to put out in the spread this weekend, if you're targeting the blackfin, what you like to do?
Blackfin, I like to use a bonita strip, a smaller version. Put a little flash to it, a sea witch, or one of those little feathers that you put over.
I personally like to fish on the wider lines. I will put out I'll put out the squid chain, and behind it on the end, I like to put out a little jet head on the back of mine. That's why I like to target, because then I can get mixed bag. I can possibly get a dolphin mixed in with that also.
Well, also, you know, if you are putting a spread out, I would have something small, okay, and just want whatever rod or reel. I have something small for the blackfin, the bonita, skipjack, which the skipjack going to be in deeper water, but nevertheless, have
if you're going
small.
after dolphin, you'll see those too.
And if I would definitely put a ballyhoo back there, or with an islander or a J-cam lure, something that has some mass to it.
Mr. Mullets have been working really good out there on the water.
That's where the wahoo come in handy, and the wahoo bite is going to be hot this weekend. But anyway, nevertheless, the fishing overall is going to be good. And if you don't have the boat to go offshore, the inshore bite with the snook fishing in the spillways would be an ideal, because the locks should be running constantly for the next 4 or 5 days, I would guess.
Yeah, we talked about that, and I just wanted to touch on, if you're going to go to the spillways, don't go directly to the opening. I would fish the mouth and work my way into the spillway, because you never know.
If you're going in the boat situation, I would work the mouth. Absolutely right, because depending on the tide, the mouth might be the better than in the inside. Usually when the tide's getting ready to change, when it's high tide getting pushed in there, and about an hour pulling out, then that's when you want to fish as far up in the spillway as you possibly can. Then after a couple hours, you'll fish the mouth, and you'll do better in the mouth than you will in the very, very actual water flow. So, but anyway, that's our weather predictions for this weekend, guys. So hopefully we have a better report for you next week.
And hopefully, we want our viewers to help us out. Send us in your pictures, and we'll post them up next week.
Oh yeah, send us pictures at our Facebook there, and we'll send them. I'll definitely post some pictures up. That's a great idea, though. You're not as dumb as you look.
No. I play dumb, though. That's the smart part about it. We'll see you guys next week.